So if you can sit comfortably and welcome your experience just as it appears to you, meaning simply be. Just for the duration of this meeting, you can let go of the past, meaning you don't need to remember anything. You don't need to do anything. So you let go of whatever activities that you had to do for now. You can let them be. So whatever thoughts appear to you, whatever sensations appear to you, there is no need to engage. Just let them be, let them flow, which is what they do anyways. They appear and disappear. They don't have any significance. Meaning, whatever appears to you, you meaning awareness, you being this aware presence, it's like the weather. The weather appears to you. You don't need to fix anything for now. You don't need to improve anything. You don't need to figure anything out. To simply be. You don't need the past. You don't need the future. To simply be. Being is peace, effortless peace. Our natural state, the peace of presence, the peace of being. And in and as this peace, there is no separation. You don't need to do anything to be. You already are this effortless, aware presence. Which has no owner. It doesn't belong more to you than to me or than to your neighbor. In fact, being doesn't belong to anybody. There is no ownership in being. Also notice that as being, as presence, there is no gender. Presence is non-phenomenal, has no age, no shape. It is not tall or short. And yet presence, awareness, this aware presence is undeniable. Impersonal, borderless, presence is also the witnesser, meaning it is that presence, that awareness, which perceives. I refers to awareness. I, awareness, perceive. I perceive the oak tree in the yard. I perceive the thought, today is Saturday. I perceive the sensation of my feet on the ground. I, awareness, effortlessly perceives. This I awareness is not an object. An object does not perceive. An object is perceived, a form is perceived, but it does not perceive. I, awareness, perceive, but I am not a form, I am not an object, I am not made out of atoms and molecules, I am not made out of brain cells, I'm not made out of flesh and bones. Flesh and bones, brain cells do not perceive. I am does not refer to the body is in the living room or in the kitchen. I am does not refer to the body sitting on a chair or on the couch. I am is undeniable. It is not a memory. It is not a belief. It is a reality, the reality of amness, the reality of being. The body may come and go. May go to the kitchen or go to the living room or go to work. But the I am neither comes nor goes. A thought may appear and disappear. I, that which perceives the thought, which perceives thought A and perceives thought B, that the I that perceives is not a thought. A thought is perceived, but it does not perceive. In your experience, there is the relative, that which appears and disappears. And there is the absolute, that which neither appears nor disappears. When you overlook I, the reality of awareness, and you imagine yourself, you believe yourself, and you feel yourself to be a body, to be a mother, a father, a son, a daughter, you have entered into ignorance of your true nature. Separate yourself from God. You separate yourself from your true being, from your true self. And you experience the sense of lack, desire, and resistance, fear. This identification with the body, confusing yourself to be a mother, a father, a son, a daughter, somebody, is false. How can you be that which you perceive? You perceive the oak tree. You perceive the glitter of the sunshine on the surface of the lake, none of which define you. You perceive bodily sensations, images, none of which define you. When you cherish yourself as an image, you are committing idolatry. You are venerating an idol, an image. When you cherish and you identify yourself as a good mother, a good father, you are not referring to your true nature, you're referring to the body-mind. The body-mind can be a good son, a good daughter, or a bad son or a bad daughter, whichever way we define that. But that does not refer to consciousness, to awareness, to the reality of that which we are. You don't need to define yourself via the past. Who you were, what you did, because that refers to the body-mind. It does not refer to reality of consciousness, to what you truly are. We suffer as a result of that confusion about what I refers to. Okay, so if you have any questions, please make sure you unmute your mic, and you're welcome to turn on your video if you like or not. So, any questions?
Yes. Hi, Magdi. This is George.
Hello, George.
Hi there. I have a question. I think I know the answer to this. I just really want to verify. Eye awareness perceives. It perceives thoughts, body sensations, images. My question is, does eye awareness do anything else? For example, does eye awareness have any causative power? Can it cause the rain to fall? Can it cause thoughts to arise? Can it cause the body to move?
Yes, George. So first, we need to understand what we mean by awareness. Just to, I know that there is clarity, but I just want to reiterate that by awareness / consciousness, I use those words synonymously, I'm referring to that which does not come and go, the absolute, that which does not appear or disappear. Everything appears and disappears, thoughts, perceptions, sensations. But consciousness, awareness, neither appears nor disappears. The reality, that reality is that which neither appears nor disappears, which we refer to sometimes as that which is absolute. Okay, just want to sort of bring that on board. So when we're referring to one reality, meaning there is no other reality, there isn't reality and thoughts, or there is reality and Mount Everest, or there is reality and my body. When we're referring to reality and one reality, then there is no other, there isn't anything else. So when we refer to causality, A causes B, we are entering the relative realm of conversation, where we are now looking at, wait, did the rain and the sunshine and the nutrients in the earth cause the acorn to sprout, and the acorn sprouting caused the oak tree? So in terms of causality, we're entering in the realm of the relative conversation about manifestation. So I just want to bring clarity about that, because from the perspective of reality, which is the only true perspective, the only real perspective, causality doesn't apply. Having said that, since we are also introducing in our conversation and in our way of formulating our experience, we are introducing the relative realm of perceptions, sensations, meditations, the oak tree, the river, the sunshine, the lake, etc. Since we are introducing that, and we are also bringing up the question of causality, then we have two directions to approach this question. One direction is to say that, yes, the rain that fell in the prairie caused the weeds and the seeds to grow. And the sunshine that was shining onto the prairie provided the photosynthetic aspect to the weeds, the plants, the corn, etc., to grow. So that is one of the directions in which we can approach this conversation. But then we can take the conversation a step further and say, well, what caused the sun to shine? What caused the river the rain to fall? What caused the clouds to form and the lightning to strike? Now we go to another level where we say, well, okay, the entire cosmic realm is as one realm. The entire universe or universes in combination with each other somehow are creating at this particular place and moment the rain to fall and the sun to shine onto the prairie. But then we can take the question even further. We could say, well, okay, well, then what is the cause of the universes not just functioning the way they are, but even existing? Which takes us to consciousness. In that conversation, so there are two conversations. One is that the whole realm of causality doesn't apply when it comes to one reality. But when you go into the relative aspect of your question, then it will, if you follow the conversation, lead you to one creator. Now, it's important to understand when we go into the conversation about the relative realm where A is a result of B and B is a result of C or whatever, and then we arrive to the absolute. It is important to understand that this seeming dissecting or phrasing causality in the relative realm is a conversation that does not refer to anything that is separate. There aren't any separate events or separate aspects of experience that are created by God or by the one creator. That in fact the whole thing is one. One metaphor that Francis sometimes uses is like, imagine that you are in outside of a room, and you don't have the key to the door. So you look through the peephole, the keyhole into the room. You perceive there is a cat walking. You perceive the head of the cat. Oh, you're familiar with Francis's metaphor, but for everybody else's sake, you perceive a cat walking. You see the head of the cat, and then you see the tail of the cat. And so then you conclude, oh, the head of the cat caused the tail of the cat, because the head of the cat appeared to you before the tail of the cat. But in fact, it's one cat. And from the perspective of the cat, there is no head and no tail. Just wanted to make that point. So even in the relative realm of causality, even there is no separation between A and B. There isn't an A and B except as a formulation, as a narrative. Now, just one more point I want to make is, in the question about what is it that's causing the universe to appear, there is a hidden question. And the hidden question is, what is it that caused me to appear? And I know that's not sort of formulated in your question, but I'm going to go there.
Yes, go ahead.
You just mentioned that you do not appear. It's the question of what caused me to appear, to be. You do not appear. You do not appear. You are. The I am is not something that appears. So the sense that I am somebody is based on the belief that I am an event in time and space, that I am the body mind existing in time and space. Always, somehow we always return to that, to that if I am a body mind, then that should be verifiable right now. And when we look right now at the verification of that I am the body mind, it's simple enough because we've done it so many times to realize that the body mind is something that appears to you as sensations, perceptions, and sensations and images. And that which perceives is that which I is, I awareness.
Thank you very much. You've answered my question perfectly, and you've done more, okay? And I always thank you for that, because you've always done more than answering my question, because I now see I wouldn't call it the error, the hidden assumption in the question.
Yes.
Yeah, the hidden assumption about causation.
Yes.
So I really appreciate it. It's just great. Every time I ask you a question, I get more than I get what I asked for and more. So thank you very much.
Any questions?
Magdi?
Shiva, salut Shiva.
Yes, I'm going to jump in if that's okay.
Yes.
If it's okay, I'm not going to turn the video on because I'm sort of in the middle of something here.
Okay.
And, oh, you know what? I can turn it on here. We go. Hi.
Hello, Shiva.
Hi.
Yes.
You know, you started this contemplation with the classical sort of Advaita distinction of I'm not that which I perceive. And we know that's all a very important step to living oneness. What's going on here is the full realization that I am intrinsically everything I perceive. Knowing that I'm beyond the appearance and not defined exclusively by what is appearing in my field of perception, the world, the thoughts, the sensations, etc. So consciousness is not a thing or a state, and it's not a tool. It's just everything there is. And so the mystery, the mystical, is to fully realize that I am the breathing, just as an example, and I am that which precedes the breathing. So in other words, I am life, and yet I'm also simultaneously able to be aware of life. So this is the classical principle of the Sat-Chit, right? Sat-Chit-Ananda, the bliss of union between the knowing and the being. Is that, are we good? Do you want to say anything to that, or am I good so far?
Yes, if you could say that I am the ocean, that I am the rain, that I am the oak tree, that I am the snail, and that I am if you can say that without that being sort of something you heard, in other words, if it's your experience, that I am everything and everyone,
Mm-hmm.
that the I is not defined in your experience as any particular thing, but as everything.
Right. It's not a
Yes.
localized unit which says I am everything. It's everything is, and
So
it includes
that I am everything. If your experience is that I am everything and everyone, yes, then that's. Now again, just to mention that the complete teaching, the complete understanding of Advaita goes through, yes, I am consciousness, and then everything is consciousness. And sometimes, we make a point in the meditation or in a conversation, we make a point saying that I am not that which I perceive. And now in the conversation with you, via your question, then we bring the point, we bring the important point that I am nothing and yet I am everything. But I am everything without there being any things. So that everythingness is that nothingness. So that everything, it doesn't refer to a sum of objects. It is slightly different from that. It's non-objective everything. It's a non-objective everything. Yes. So that now you are arriving to the more complete understanding of Advaita.
It's the complete living, because I'm frankly not that much interested anymore on the level of understanding, meaning wrapping my non-existing head around something, but it's the living experience of it. And this story of the world does not exist, only God exists. God is the world. That's what
right.
we're talking about.
So and then your life has to reflect that. You see, it's important that in your life there is that living. I am everything. There isn't that it's living itself in your life.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm coming to actually my question, because I wanted to just sort of set the groundwork for what the actual question is and where the question is coming from, because and I know that you know that, but I sort of felt like sharing this also publicly. It's a sort of fine line, right? So we're not after a state, whatever perfume consciousness is presenting is whatever perfume consciousness is presenting. And I know that you know that in my life there has been tremendous changes from, you know, the classical paradigm of separation towards a deepening fulfillment of these teachings. And as you know, Francis says, the percentage has changed. So it's like, let's say 10% of suffering, 90% of contentment and peace, versus the opposite.
Yes.
10 years ago. So the crux right now, let's say the remaining 10%, the remaining 10% are presenting themselves sometimes in very intense ways. And what I see is, you know, that I'm retiring into this sacred forest. I'm resourcing. I'm totally dissolving. I'm in absence of any kind of localized, centralized, worry, suffering unit. All of this is gone. So we know that the experience of oneness, when it comes to, especially when it comes to plants, when it comes to natural environment, when it comes to animals, is unbelievably 100%. I mean, St. Francis talking to the birds, kind of, you know, very strong. Now, in the same time, we're living through the, and I'm using a strong word, the apocalypse of the human paradigm, the breakdown of the separatist way of living, which we see, and the fear and the suffering and the political manipulation, the, you know, the upheaval, which is entirely caused by what calls itself the crown of evolution, meaning Homo sapiens. And it's like a tremendous amount of suffering, tremendous amounts of fears, and tremendous amounts of aggression and whatnot. I mean, we could call it in so many ways and talk about it for years, knowing that, yes, in the old ways, I would have said, well, you know, this is just an appearance, it's just a dream, it's just, you know, it's not real. All that is real is consciousness. Now, and I think this is where my 10% are sitting, is the fact that not only I am also that suffering that I perceive, and I am that suffering not as a, you know, there is a tremendous amount of compassion and a tendency in the same time to want to run away from it, to be all by myself in nature and not, you know, interacting with it. And I know this is still, and I know that I'm fully aware of the 10% being still localized, personalized, identified to some degree, even though the compassion has very little to do with a localized fear about my person or my body or anything like that. So it's more like a very strong intuition and sensitivity about what is going on or seemingly going on in the world. Now, and I'm sorry this is so long, but it's a really fine line. The fine line being, no, and I'm talking about the 10%. So I'm not talking about like a non-stop occasion, occurring thing. And it's in the world of 10%, so let's say 1 hour a day, when suffering hits, when compassion is very active, when there's some form of like steering in my gut on the level of humankind, there is this practice of accepting my own shortcoming and my, let's say, my own not being completely dissolvedness, my appreciation of feeling the compassion, and also my attentiveness to not going into sentimentalism or, you know, overdoing, creating or co-creating the suffering. But I don't know if that, it doesn't make sense what I'm saying. I'm sort of like,
Yes,
it's all me. It's all me. So why, you know, where's the line between the feeling it and being detached from it?
yes, yes, yes. Whenever there is suffering, there is the mistaken belief that I am a separate body, mind, consciousness.
Right.
There is no suffering in the absence of that belief. So whenever the suffering, if it's 2%, 5%, 1%, doesn't matter. Whenever there is suffering, at that moment, you are reverting to the old model that I am Shiva, Ram, body, mind, whichever way you conceptualize it, and therefore you conceptualize the world, me and the world, me as this body, mind.
I got that. That's sort of one of the axioms of advisors. Suffering.
No. It's just, you have to see it. You have to see it at the moment of the suffering. You have to see it. Not just I know you understand it. I know your understanding. I'm aware of your understanding. I've been with you long enough to know that. But you have to see it at that moment. You see it because to understand it, you can understand it and it still operates, you see.
Right.
But in seeing it and being clear about that's what's going on. That is exactly what's going on.
Right. Now, I just because I don't want to ruffle everybody's feathers on the level of like current pandemic scenarios and whatever could be behind it. Let's just take another example, which for me as a German is something very tangible, and even though it refers to past, just as a sort of you know, as an example. So here I am. It's 1939, or let's say 1940, and by some kind of circumstance, I am in a concentration camp. And it doesn't really matter what role I'm playing, whether or not I'm like a Nazi or I'm like a Jewish guy tortured or gasified or whatever. And I am in this environment of unbelievable suffering and of unbelievable cruelty, right? And then I'm not feeling anything.
Yeah, you see, Shiva, there is the realm of the body mind. There is awful situation that the body mind is experiencing, no food, being in the cold, etc. You know, and so as long as we are identified as the body mind, there is suffering. There is a difference between suffering and an awful body mind situation.
Mm-hmm. That in the awful body mind separation, there is suffering.
No, in the awful body mind situation, there is a witnessing of the situation, an awareness of the situation. There is engaging whichever way we can to ameliorate, reduce the pain for the body, try to bring some warmth to the cold body, try to bring some food to huddling together and to share the body, each other's body warmth, etc. That's not suffering. Suffering is important to be really clear about that the suffering does not refer to any situation, any circumstance in the world, body, mind. It refers to some form of belief an identification with the body mind. And therefore, from then on, it's downhill. From then on, the body mind is confused with consciousness. We're confusing ourselves to be with the body as a body mind. So suffering refers to the separation, I know it's imaginary, but the separation from awareness, consciousness, and identification with the body mind.
Yeah.
Whenever you are suffering, you need to look and discern that at that moment, you, meaning awareness, consciousness, are identified with the body mind, with the world, with whatever
Right.
you're identified with.
Muji Baba said the same thing all the time. It was like suffering is definitely something which has to do with identification.
No, you have to see it. You have to see it, Shiva. It doesn't matter that I say it. I mean, anybody can say it. Or you can open any book and read it, but you have to see that, in fact, you are suffering as there has to be a me. You have to sort of get your teeth in it, or you have to get your claws in it. You have to see it.
I mean, I remember when they cut down my most beloved tree when I was 12 years old. And there was a tremendous amount of suffering, and there was nothing I could do. I was a little child, and here the stupid neighbor is cutting down this tree because of some roots being in the way or whatever. And it's like, it's the same thing. I'm in this concentration camp here. There's nothing I can do. I see this unbelievable cruelty, and it feels like it has nothing to do with me. So I don't see like an entity called,
the situation,
or Shivaram or whatever, who's having a judgment, or
so
you are a very direct interaction with this living creature, which is suffering. It's not me or my ideal scenario. Or yes, obviously I'm going to do whatever I can do, but I might not be able to do anything. And then it's like, how can I be neutral?
No. At the level of the body-mind, you are not neutral. You are active as best you can to ameliorate the situation, to reduce the suffering of the people who are in the concentration camp with you, if you can, I don't know, share your food, it depends, on the particular situation. Yes, you are engaged in that. You're engaged in that because of the wholeness, of the oneness. Feeding the other is like feeding yourself. But again, if there is a teeny tiny piece of bread and you know that you need to eat it, you are going to eat it, But if you have a loaf of bread, so then you could give a piece away, you see. So because of our wholeness and our oneness. But suffering, and we're talking about suffering, you see. Suffering is a different conversation. We suffer. I am not advocating sort of, realize that your awareness and okay, so there are people drowning next to you. Well, you're okay, there is not, it's a dream, it's all a dream, they're dying, it doesn't matter. No, that's never.
No, I know you don't do that.
Part of my conversation. But in terms of the suffering, we can be engaged. Actually, there has been, I think, a couple of people who were in concentration camps who somehow were able to write, they were able to smuggle some little message.
Right. No, I know these stories. It's fine. It was just an example.
Yeah, I'm using this example to tell you that to share that there is a possibility, which is very rare. I agree with it, it's very rare, to be in a very awful situation for the body-mind, but no suffering. And I'm on board that is very, very rare, because the most common religion we have is to be identified with the body mind. We believe that the body mind is it, reality is the world. We have to. That's it. So in terms of suffering, there is no suffering that is possible without there being a sense of separation. It's not possible. There isn't suffering in the absence of the sense of separation. When you are experiencing, as you said a minute ago, that I am everything and all is everything, there is just doing what you do. You know, you are a duck, you fly. You are a fish, you swim. You know,
I'm sensitive
at the body-mind level.
Okay, I'm sensitive, and therefore I'm sensitive.
You see, so there is the body-mind level with its limitation, with its capacity, and so there is that element. But that which perceives, meaning the reality, that which perceives, that which I am, that which refers to I, that which in your experience right now refers to I, that's presence, that's awareness. And it's that one awareness is only one reality that perceived through all eyes. It perceived through the eyes of the Gestapo soldier, I don't know those terms, but the Swiss, and through the eyes of the concentration camp prisoner. It's the same consciousness.
Yeah. Kind of
because when you look at all 7 billion human beings, they refer to I. When they say I, they're referring to I, this awareness, not my I versus your I. The main confusion and the source of suffering is that we confuse I, awareness, to be this body mind. And of course, what goes with it, my tribe, my family, my camp, my whatever, you know.
Yeah. No, that's clear. It's totally clear. I mean, sort of what we're talking about is in this 10% field of, you know, shedding the skin, and the old skin is still gluing to the rest, to the end of the tail of the snake, and it's sort of thrashing to get rid of the old snake skin, which is still somehow gluing to it. I feel this is what's going on at this point.
Yeah, so you need to take a look at that. Those 10%, it's you know, in the path in our journey, we go from the gross to the more and more subtle. Those 10% or 5% or 2%. This is where you need to really become even more vigilant to see the finer identity, the finer layers, shades, veils of identification at these moments, whatever 5%, 2% it doesn't matter, you know, and it's all okay.
It's such an incredible fine line, because it's such an incredible fine line, and maybe this is exactly what the universe wants me, or what life wants me to learn, to be on one level very sensitive, and on the other level not identified, but attached to whatever the suffering around me is, you know.
So the peace has to be at some point lived in our life. It has to become it has to be a harmony between, quote unquote, the inner and the outer. So once the inner, there's a clarity in the inner, it has to now permeate your life. It has to be lived. You have to sort of live it, it confirms itself in your life. And this is when you're hitting the bumps, this is part of the process of It's confirming itself in your life.
Sure. Yeah. You know, I'm not minding the bumps, and I'm tremendously learning, especially in those last 2 weeks, and after our last conversation, there's been a tremendous deepening and appreciation, and the heart is pure. So I know that these last bumps are going to be evened out. It's just sometimes it's really not easy, you know, to just be witness to the amount of suffering, and then realizing I am the suffering, and at the same time I'm not the suffering. So it's kind of like, you know, it's like, woo, you're so easy to fall on either one or the two.
We have to be clear about suffering, you see. You know, I think you're confusing suffering with a certain world, body, mind situation. You call it suffering. I'm not. Suffering is very specific, Shiva. Suffering is...
Then let's find a word. Let's define it better, because, I mean, for me, if people are on the brink of extinction, if they are in...
Yeah, but that's not suffering, you see. You are describing, you describe, for example, a forest that is being decimated by a volcano, by the lava. You know, that's not suffering. Now you are giving you are giving a reality to a body mind, a human body mind, rather than the oak tree. You see, when you don't experience a suffering when the lava is coming and burning the forest. Well, I'm assuming you don't experience suffering.
I mean, I could feel sadness for a beautiful garden.
Yeah, no, je comprends, but it's not suffering, you say.
Right.
Because you realize, okay, well, that's, you know, there are other trees that will grow. There's a beauty to the lava, etc., whatever. So, but when it comes, somehow you're talking now about a situation in the world or a situation about people, whatever, and you're calling it suffering.
And I shouldn't.
No.
Come on, there is 7 billion people hysteric about
what is suffering? What is suffering?
Well, fear is suffering.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear j'ai pas entendu.
Fear, extreme fear is a form of...
All right, so if you look at fear, now, there is, for example, let's say an elephant is charging you. An elephant is charging you, okay? You know, so you perceive the elephant charging you, and obviously the body is going to go into, you can call it fear, but it's going to go into a natural response to safeguard itself, to run away. Well, yeah, obviously you're running away if it's, you know, if an elephant is charging you. So there is a situation, and you could say, my God, that's a very awful situation. There is suffering. You know, these people are afraid of the elephant, you know. We are afraid, the suffering is when there is identification.
Right.
There is identification with the body mind. And it's true that there is 7 billion human beings that are suffering, but the suffering is the identification with my body, my tribe, my money, my bank account, my work, my job, my security, the whole process of identification is the cause of suffering. And so we need to look not at, oh, is it the virus that is causing the suffering? No, because if it's not the virus, it's going to be something else. It is the process of identification. This is what really we talk about all the time in satsang, that the suffering is the identification, and all 7 billion of us are identified. Oh my God, what's happening to my money? What's happening to my family, to my children? I have no more food in the refrigerator. That is suffering. Yes. I am suffering. The me is suffering. Now we're confusing a situation the body mind is experiencing and with identification as the body mind. Suffering comes with the identification as the body mind.
Yes, Magdi, j'ai bien compris. I totally understood. It's like maybe I didn't express myself clearly enough, but the suffering which is appearing in my environment or my visual field.
No, again, no, you're going off again and again, Shiva. No, suffering is not appearing in your environment. This suffering is an experience that you have or you don't have it. It's not something that is appearing in your environment, Shiva.
Right.
And that's the point that I'm making. I'm insisting on that. I'm making the point that you're talking about suffering. Out there is suffering, in the world. So there is a situation, and you're calling it suffering. Suffering is an experience.
What's Umer saying? Umer, just forget it. Nobody's fighting. Anyway, what I feel, what is not, maybe I'm not getting your point. Don't worry about it. Maybe I'm not just getting your point, but I feel it's really an important point in the sense of you're saying that, so obviously we're talking about in so many different layers, so I'm trying to be as clear as possible, but it's all one, it's all consciousness. So you gave several examples. Now, here we have human beings, or the appearance of human beings, and they are in an appearance of suffering because they're clearly manifesting fear, they're manifesting aggression, they're manifesting whatever. And we know that happens only because, and I'm saying they, knowing that they don't really exist in that same way, but on that ephemeral level, they are manifesting suffering because of their sense of identification.
Okay.
And their suffering is creating, let me finish, because otherwise it's really getting too crazy, because they are manifesting an energy field which has an impact on everything in this apparent world. Now, the question is, this perceived I is interacting, is in contact with that energy field. And whatever the situation is, concentration camp or pandemic or whatever, it's all based on separation. Now, in that moment, I can say, hey, I am consciousness and nothing touches me. It's all well, the volcano is erupting.
But that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. I am not saying, okay, I am consciousness and all is well, the volcano is. I am saying that suffering refers to a very specific experience. The experience that I am this body-mind, that I am this person, that I, consciousness, am mortal. I consciousness. I'm not saying that what you just said about like that I am consciousness and therefore nothing, there is no suffering. I'm speaking very specifically about what suffering means. What suffering is an experience. And we experience suffering as an identified body-mind person.
Okay, I am in the forest for 3 days. I'm tree bathing, I'm communicating with nature, I'm completely dissolved, I'm living like a Native American Indian. It's amazingly beautiful. There's hardly any thoughts. I'm so content. It takes me 45 minutes to light a fire. It doesn't matter. It's all good. There's no time. There's no internet.
Okay.
And I'm in a state of deep dissolution and completion. Call it whatever you want.
Okay.
Then I have to climb up the steep cliff, which leads to this very remote place where a lot of day tourists are coming down or going up or whatever. So this is the first time in 3 days that I'm in contact with other human beings and I see them. And guess what? We're in the middle of nowhere. They're all wearing masks. They're all totally afraid. It's like they come because I'm not wearing a mask. I'm in the middle of nowhere. It's full nature. And they are like scared sheep.
Yes. Okay.
So, and I'm not judging them. No, I'm not saying. I'm not trying to educate them. I'm not.
What does it mean? I mean, what are you saying? Yes. So you come across people who are scared. Okay.
I'm in contact with beings who are completely afraid in the middle of paradise.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
And
And
there's an emotion in me. There is something like, oh my God, these poor people, you know? I mean, it's like there's a compassion. There's just
okay. Okay. So there is compassion. Compassion is not suffering. Yes. Yes. Of course, we have compassion. You know why? Because we are one. We sense somebody suffering, and we feel compassion for them. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I would call that compassion a form of suffering because it's not agreeable.
Oh,
It's
how is it?
not
How is it
not making
suffering?
me happy. You know, I'm not happy. I'm not rejoicing. I'm not in
Well,
ananda. I'm not in bliss. I'm there, and these poor people like scared sheep scattering down the hill. You know,
oh,
and I'm
okay.
like,
So then there, if you are judging, because I sense maybe it's my projection, but I sense some judgment. If you are judging, then there is at that moment of judgment, you are reverting to me, I Shiva, I this person, I this body mind, I this more intelligent, I this more awakened human being, a
I
human
get
being. So you're referring to yourself as a more awakened human being, and that's still in the human realm.
that is
That
true.
is suffering.
But that's not the case. That wasn't the case. I went too far
I mean,
because there was a really absolutely instinctual and intuitive connection with these beings on the level of their own fear and the suffering their fear is causing them. I could just feel it like by
so, and
osmosis.
that's compassion. Now you're talking about compassion. Compassion is sort of feeling the other person's feeling, as our own. Okay, yes. So okay. In that case, Shiva, if you are feeling people's pain and it's not sweet within you, that's compassion. That's not suffering, because it doesn't stick. You feel it. Yes, you do feel it, but it sort of goes through you. You see.
Does go through me, but it happens quite a bit. It's never happened that intensively, and I guess maybe that's the whole reason for this interaction on this question to you, because I used to be so much more tranquil and self-contained in some levels, and I mean this whole thing of opening up to others and being more in human contact, and it's just there is so much of that, and it's like sometimes it's to a point where I'm like, all I want is to go back into my little forest wilderness and be
Shiva,
not exposed to it.
I understand. You see, the thing is that if we are okay in our own hut, in our own life, in our own space, and now we are interacting with the world, with people, and it's ruffling a little bit our feathers, then that is the next direction. That's the next part of our journey, of that peace that we experience as presence in the absence of too much interaction. Now it is now there are interactions, and so the yoga or the homework or the work, if you want to say this way, is how to be with that, and to live with that as that, but without being the roller coaster ride. And it is possible to feel other people suffering and to experience as compassion their pain, their sorrow, their sense of me, their contracted space, and so on and so forth. But in compassion, there isn't a judgment. There isn't I'm better and they're worse. So I'm not saying that that's what's going on. I'm just speaking, generically.
Yeah.
Whatever aspects of me that arises vis-a-vis them, these are those fine remnants, or those fine places that we need to sort of see them and see their falsehood and see their hurtfulness, and these are the layers, the echoes of suffering. You see?
Yeah. I like the echoes of suffering. That's a very good expression.
so that we as presence, as being, as the freedom, as the joy, as the happiness, we live the world experience without it lives itself in harmony in our life, so that there is harmony, not just in our inner experience, but also in our life. And that's something that is let's say, working in progress. We're living that, and that's a very, very, very important aspect of the journey of journey. I mean, the path, whatever the words are.
You know, it's beautiful what you said, and I thank you. What I take out of it is this: what you said like a couple of minutes ago, when you said it's very rare, but it's totally possible that when there is a very difficult body-mind experience, to be still and in equanimity and in peace, despite, you know, let's say the concentration camp or whatever it is around.
You see, and there can be peace within an activity on the surface. In other words, a peace within doesn't mean, oh, well, you know, I do nothing. No, there is peace within, but there can be, it can be all sorts of things. You could be starting in the camp, I don't know, what various ideas, programs that comes to you to do things with people, to make things a little easier for people in some little way. You see, that's on the surface to comprendre.
Yeah. So it's this whole thing of like exactly what defines harmony, you know? So the harmony is not defined by, and I'm not saying that it's not really lovely if things fall into place and you're with a steady partner and you're in a beautiful house and you have enough to eat and you're radiating wisdom to the world around you. But this might not be automatically everybody's expression, that the harmony is really the presence of consciousness, no matter what the outer situation in the so-called expression of life is.
Yes, I mean, we can understand that theoretically. Now it's a matter of
living it.
Very
good. That was enough. Merci beaucoup.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very, very, very nice question, and you know, thank you. And I'm sorry there are other people who have questions, but I think this is really important. Thank you, Shiva. Right. Merci, Shiva. Umer, I don't know if you are, is Umer still there? No. Okay. Oh, yes, you are. Umer, did you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, Umer. Yes.
Hello, Magdi.
Yeah.
Right. So, Magdi, I want to know about impermanence of phenomena without referring to contemplation or awareness. How do I see impermanence in deep meditation? Because as you know, the meditations have been going nice, but I'm not able so far to see the impermanence in things. You know, like in Theravada, they talk about the impermanence of the five aggregates of feelings, forms, sensations, perceptions, and mental fabrications, and even consciousness that is emanating from the eyes. So how do I get to that stage?
Umer, just before I answer the question, just want to clarify that I use the term consciousness to refer to the absolute. That's how I speak it. I know other people speak about they use the term consciousness differently, but in terms of how I use that word consciousness, I refer to consciousness as God, as truth, as reality, as the absolute. So don't mind when you hear me say consciousness. Please remember that that's how I use the term. I use the term consciousness.
Right. You mean the pure awareness. That is what you mean by consciousness.
Pure, the one reality. So in terms of your question about impermanence in the contemplation of impermanence, Umer, I would not recommend the contemplation of impermanence. Contemplation of impermanence is so simple. It's so simple. Like, for example, you had breakfast this morning and it's gone. Now you are here in satsang, and in a half hour, you may be doing something else. So in terms of the impermanence, it's very clear that all perceptions, all sensations, all meditations, images, thoughts, memories, all of that is passing, is appears and disappears. Like right now, the words that I said a second ago are gone, and now I'm saying other words, and so on and forth. So I wouldn't focus so much about the contemplation, comprehension of the impermanence, which is simple to grok. I would rather turn my attention towards the presence of awareness. The presence of awareness meaning the reality. There is something rather than nothing. There is something that perceives, something that is, whatever that's, we say something, it's not a thing. There is the fact of knowing, of being, of perceiving. And that is non-phenomenal. It's not like perceiving an oak tree in the yard, or perceiving a thought, or perceiving a memory, or perceiving a feeling, or perceiving hunger. It is that which perceives. So that which perceives is noumenal, non-phenomenal.
Right, but the thing is that you say that which perceive, and it is consciousness. This is the same consciousness which you say is absolute, but it is emanating from my eyes, right? It is emanating to the outside from the eyes. I mean, I'm saying this is how one can perceive consciousness. Is one can perceive consciousness by locking onto the eyesight.
It does not emanate. There is no evidence that consciousness emanates from the retina behind the eyes, from the brain, from behind the head. There is no, I know that there is maybe a feeling or a belief that it emanates from point X, but there is no evidence for that. Be really watchful. Be really watchful.
So there is a contact at the eyesight of which consciousness makes a note of, right? We can say there's a contact.
Let me tell you how I formulate it. The body mind is an instrument. Okay, I use often the metaphor of the bird watcher and the binoculars.
Yeah, I know that.
Yes, the bird watcher uses the binoculars and to perceive the bird. So the metaphor that I use about the body mind, that the body mind is a very, very wonderful, very intricate instrument. It is not that which perceives. The instrument does not perceive. It is consciousness that perceives. And consciousness is not the instrument. So if there is an instrument that is operating with a point behind the eye, then it fires to the brain, then it, like a binocular may have 3 lenses. I don't know much about binoculars, so excuse me if I speak stupidly about binoculars. If the binocular has 3 lenses, one is concave, one is convex, and one is at 3 inches from the other, and etc., and the mirror, whatever, that is the instrument. So the instrument may be very sophisticated. Then maybe is the image of the bird may be reversed, and then it hits this mirror, etc. Then it registers. That which perceives is not the instrument. No matter how intricate and how sophisticated the program of the instrument is, no matter how advanced the CPU of the instrument is, it is not the instrument that perceives.
Right. So, for example, if let's say from some force of nature, I tend to go blind. Still, there is perceiving of consciousness, right?
Consciousness in the case of the instrument, the audio went off. The video is still working, but the audio, I'm sorry, the other way around. The video went off, but the audio is still on. Silly example, but so yes, at the point of view of the instrument or of the world, there can be all sorts of things that happen. Even the CPU, the body, when the body dies, let's say the CPU now burns out or goes out of function. Boom! Now the whole screen there is no audio, no video. There is the I/O card doesn't work. Nothing is working. So yes, irrespective of what happens to the instrument, it is not the instrument that perceives. It is not the instrument that is. It's the reality that perceives is not the instrument. The reality of your of you, the reality of you, of I, is consciousness. It's not the instrument.
Right, but there needs to be a body mind so that one can use those faculties to be aware of awareness.
No. There needs to be a body mind in order to be aware of the oak tree in the yard, in order to be aware of the colors of the rainbow, in order to be aware of the thought, I really love my mother, but not to be aware of awareness.
I mean, what? Wait, dead people cannot be aware of awareness, right? You have to be alive to achieve sahaja.
Wait. You just said that people cannot be aware of awareness. People are not aware. It is not you are confusing the instrument. You made an assumption, Umer, in your statement that people are not aware of awareness, because in that statement that you said, there is the assumption that people are aware. In other words, that the instrument is aware. We just talked about that, and we need to repeat it again and again, maybe. It's not the instrument that is aware, it is awareness that is aware. So that people are, or live or living people are not aware. Whether they are dead or not dead, that's not, the people are not aware.
But in proof, we see that only if you're alive can awareness be aware of itself.
No. Awareness. You see, in your statement, only if you are alive can awareness be aware of itself. There is an assumption in that statement that it is the body that is alive. It is not the body that is alive. Aliveness, aliveness, life doesn't refer to the body mind. Life refers to the eternity of consciousness. The body mind is just like a passing event, a weather event. You see.
So who is being aware?
Awareness.
No, not awareness, because it doesn't feel like awareness. It doesn't perceive as awareness. Sometimes it's changing. Sometimes it's mindfulness. Sometimes it's vipassana. Sometimes it's samatha.
You said it doesn't feel like awareness, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just stay with that. Okay, so when you said it doesn't feel like awareness, you perceived a feeling, right? And that feeling was, it just doesn't feel like awareness. So you perceived the feeling. You, meaning awareness, perceived the feeling.
But it is clouded by the body mind.
The cloud, Umer, the cloud is the belief that I, awareness, is the body mind, that I is the instrument, the confusion that the bird watcher, it is the binoculars that perceive. That is the main confusion, that I refers to the body mind, Umer.
Okay, so listen to this. When I get deep into meditation and there is some samadhi approaching where I lose the feeling of the body, the only thing that is left is mind's essential knowing nature, which is awareness, the knower. You would agree?
Can you repeat the last words you said?
I'm saying the only thing that is left is mind's essential knowing nature, which is awareness, the knower, the knowing. Would you agree?
Yes, awareness remains, but behind that awareness, there is a shadow.
Right, and we have to overcome that.
The shadow behind the awareness is still the me. So the way I refer to that is the following. I say, yes, in deep state of samadhi, only awareness remains, but it is not knowing itself. That's the way I speak it, okay? But I know there are other people who speak it differently. But let me repeat. Yes, in samadhi, there is only awareness that remains, but it's not knowing of itself. There is a shadow.
You mean it's a mirror?
You could say mirror. I rather use the word shadow or veil. I like mirrors.
I see.
Mirror, oh mirror, tell me who is the most beautiful in the world.
Lebanon.
Oh, you get a medal, you get a medal for that.
I forgot my question.
Just kidding, I know.
Right. Yeah. So
It's good to
in
forget people.
2000,
I'm sorry,
in 2000, I got it. In 2019, when I was in another state of samadhi, where quite differently, what happened was that all the thinking mind, all the thoughts, and all the conscious mind completely dissolved in that instant. Like there were no thoughts, the no mind state they call it
Yes.
in the communities.
Yes.
And still there was a me, and there was you, and there was an I. Still there was no.
No. In the state of everything dissolving, meaning the pure awareness, there is no me. But because the me has not died, it sort of took a siesta. It was absent for a moment. It came back. And it said, it made a conversation, it made a narrative about an experience where it was absent. It made a narrative about something that it was absent. So it created a narrative. Like, you go to the library, there are 1,000 of books, novels, there are narratives. Once upon a time. Don't confuse the content of thought to know anything about that which is not in the realm of thought, that which perceives thought, but is not defined by that which it perceives.
Okay, so what is it meant by, let's say, there is a process in meditation where you actually go directly to awareness, like what you're telling me and Tamer to contemplate and go all the way. So what first happens is first you get the breath to straighten out, and then you balance the elements, and then you go to the sense of light, and then to the sense of space, and then to the sense of awareness itself. And they call it knowing. And once you get that, you tend to hold a sense of awareness throughout the entire day until your next meditation. And yet there is still a me.
There is,
you see?
because there is still an objective aspect to this awareness that you are, that
you mean it's the I am.
There is an objective aspect to the awareness as an experience. You see, Umer, you cannot go to awareness by any means. You cannot go to awareness by any means, because you is this awareness.
Yeah, you are the awareness. Be awareness.
I is awareness. So whatever means you go to awareness, other than just recognizing I awareness, is a means that's taking you to some caricature, some representation of awareness. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, because there are some moments where I do get, well, we're not supposed to use the word I here, but limitations.
Oh, I is good.
So,
I awareness,
okay.
I use it all the time.
No, in my case, I'm using I as a person. So there are some moments where it is perceived that awareness and I, myself, I mean Umar, is the same. And those moments last for very few minutes throughout the day. And then they're gone.
Wait.
And then I'm back in ignorance.
Okay. Before coming to I and Umar are the same, meaning I, awareness, and the world, body, mind, thoughts, sensations, perceptions are one, you need to first come to the comprehension that I refers to awareness. For now, we need to suspend Umer. We need to go to I awareness. I perceive hunger, the bodily sensation. I is awareness. I perceive bodily sensation. I perceive hunger. I perceive an image of Umer. I perceive the image of Umer's family, Umer's mom and dad. I perceive the image of Umer's kitchen or Umer's bed. I, awareness, perceive the world. I perceive the body, I perceive hunger, I perceive the sensation of my feet on the ground. I perceive images, thoughts, image of Umer, image of my mom, image of when I was playing, when I was 10 years old, whatever. So first is to be really, really clear that I refers to awareness, consciousness, whatever word you want, presence, beingness. I use the word consciousness and awareness synonymously. This is the first understanding you need to come to. But beyond doubt, you may forget it every now and then, but whenever you recollect, you realize, oh, yes, I refers to awareness. I awareness. Once that is clear, then you can explore the relationship of awareness with the world, body, mind, and the qualities of awareness. I'm not going to go into that now because at this moment, what seems to be primordial is to come to complete clarity that I, irrespective of all your past and your future and what happened to you when you were young and where you live and what's happening in the political world, what's happening in Pakistan, what's happening in India, irrespective of that. And I'm not saying deny it or ignore it or bury it or it didn't exist or it's all illusion. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying irrespective of all of that, I need to come to clarity that is this aware presence, the reality that right now perceives and hears these words. You need to come back to that over and over and over until it's clear. Wherever you are, whatever is happening in the world, whatever is happening to your body, whatever is happening to your mind, that it is I awareness, it is that which is real. I refers to awareness, the reality of awareness.
Still, there can be moments where it's not quite clear where I and the awareness are myself, because I can say it's on a mental level that I am being awareness right now. But then it is realized, no, I was only fooling myself and I was back in ignorance because
wait.
It was only a mental proclamation. Yeah.
No.
I mean, it can happen in practice all the time.
I see something in what you said that needs to be brought up. It is not that I, Umer, that realizes that I am awareness. No. It is not Umer that realizes I am awareness. It is I, awareness, that realizes I am awareness. That's a very important, very, very important point. The dream character cannot realize the dreamer. Umer cannot realize, oh, I am awareness. It's not Umer. It is I, awareness, that realizes I'm awareness. I, in reality, right now, that hears these words, is not Umer. I am not denying the Umer instrument, body-mind instrument, but that which hears is not the body, is not the instrument, whatever. It's not the computer, it's not the CPU. That which hears is I, that which perceives. Right now, in this moment, is I awareness. It is awareness that is hearing and is realizing, oh, yeah, I awareness am that which is. It is I awareness. It is awareness itself that is realizing itself. It's realizing, yeah, I am awareness. It's not Umer, okay? You need to take a look at that, all right?
So it is awareness that realizes that it is not Umar, but it is awareness.
It is, you could say that, it is awareness that
so it is basically
that it is, I didn't say it's not Umar, I'm not, that's, you're jumping, you know, you're jumping into the relationship between consciousness and Umar. Let's leave that aside for now. It is consciousness that realizes, yeah, I, that which is perceiving and hearing right now in this moment, is this presence, this awareness. I is, yes, I awareness. I'm hearing these words. Yes.
But you said that the first stage is realizing that you are not this, you are awareness, and the second stage is realizing that you are also this and awareness. Like all is awareness and nothing is awareness.
But I also did say, I'm not going there right now. Okay, because I know you wanna travel the whole. You wanna go. I don't want to go there now. I just want to stay with that that which perceive right now, that which the reality right now, that which is hearing these words right now is awareness. And it's awareness that is aware that, oh yeah, I am this awareness. I am this awareness. It's awareness.
Okay, so suppose if awareness somehow realizes that it is awareness in Umar's case.
What do you mean by somehow? What do you mean by somehow?
I mean by practice, by contemplation. Contemplation.
Right now, in this moment. No, in this moment right now, what is it that hears these words?
The body mind.
Is that your experience, that the body mind is hearing these words?
Yes.
So why don't you say, hi Magdi, yes, Umer is speaking. Why do you say I am speaking? Why do you say I am here? Why don't you say the body mind is here?
Because we use I in English language to refer
No,
to the body mind.
No, you are no, that's not true. We say I because there is a reality to I, not because of the English language. English language came after. It came after awareness. It wasn't, awareness didn't result, it wasn't the result of the English language. So why don't you, so it's the body mind that's hearing these words. It's you're experiencing right now, you're experiencing a body mind hearing these words. That's what you're telling me. You're experiencing a body mind hearing these words. That's your experience. That's what you're telling me, right?
Yeah.
You're experiencing the body mind. Can you describe to me the process of, because you're experiencing the body, describe to me the process that you're experiencing in hearing these words. Don't go to Google, please. Don't go to Google.
No, I'm not.
I'm just kidding you.
Where you go ahead.
Well, you know.
Right. So I would say that first it is the awareness that hears, and then it is filtered down to the body mind.
Is it your experience that it is awareness that hears, and that it's your experience that it is filtered down to the body mind, or are you telling me a story? Is it your experience? You're experiencing
Only during deep stages of samadhi.
Are you experiencing something being filtered down to the body mind? Because that's
only during deep stages of samadhi, like I said in the
I'm talking
beginning.
about right now. Right now, we're speaking. You're hearing these words. What about deep steps of samadhi? You're saying, speaking about some experience of something being filtered down to the body mind. Can you describe this to me?
I can't.
Huh? What?
I cannot.
But you're talking about it. You're talking about your experience. Say something about it. Something being filtered down to the body mind. Because that's news to me. I mean, about that, filtering thing.
Okay, so what if I use the word isness? Isness, doesness.
You're free to use whatever word you want.
Okay, so there is this isness and doesness, which is perceived. Isness and doesness. Thisness and doesness. Okay, which is perceiving. Yeah, doesness.
I'm not familiar with that, but it's okay. Go ahead.
THUSNESS.
Oh,
and that is.
Oh, yes. Thusness. Yes.
It's a tricky word. Nobody uses it in English anymore. And that is what is perceiving everything, and it is itself the perceiving. It is also the perceiving and the perceived.
That sounds good to me, but I'm just asking about your experience. I mean, that sounds good to me. I am on board with what you sounds good to me, but I'm just asking about your experience. What is your experience in terms of what is it that's hearing these words? My experience is that I'm hearing these words. I don't have an experience that the body is hearing these words, that the brain or my ears are hearing these words. I don't have this experience. Only experience I have is that I'm hearing these words. And when I look at I is only one I, and it is I awareness. That's my experience.
Well, the thing is, I would too say I am hearing these words, but I cannot say that the I in my experience is awareness.
Well, what is I in your experience right now? When you say I right now, what is
it is the body mind. It is Umar.
So you experience I as a body mind.
Yeah.
So like
most of the time
when you say I right now, you say I, you immediately perceive a body mind. When you say I right now, you say I, you immediately perceive a body mind.
And awareness, both. Hello.
Okay. So we're gonna make a correction then. We're gonna make a correction.
Yeah.
The correction.
Just like how we discuss in the Facebook chat with Tomer, that there's still an I and there's still an awareness, and we cannot reconcile that.
So the correction we are going to make is the following. This is a correction. That I, the first arising of I, is awareness. And the second arising of I is that which appears. And let me give you, I know it's a difficult pill to swallow. I'm going to give you some hints.
Hard truths. Yeah, go ahead.
Some hints to swallow this model.
I love pills.
Now, when a thought arises, we call it thought A. It's followed more or less at some point. There is thought B, right? Thought A is I love my mother. Thought B is I don't like strawberry ice cream. Okay, two thoughts, right? Are you on board?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so thought A arises in awareness, because without awareness, I couldn't say the thought I love my mother. You're on board?
Yeah, but yeah. So if I were to say this awareness, it would be the screen on which everything appears.
Yeah. Okay. And then thought B appears. You know, I don't like strawberry ice cream. That also appears in awareness. Between thought A and thought B, I still exist. I don't disappear. I still am. So awareness exists between, I'm sorry, awareness exists the screen within which thought A appears. It exists between thought A and thought B, and it exists within thought B. You agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So therefore, there is a continuity to awareness, and there is a discontinuity to the thought A, thought B, thought C, thought D, etc. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm presenting you this conceptual model to help you a little bit to adopt the model that our first experience, quote unquote, is awareness. And then here and there is a ship that passes. You're by the ocean is there, and every now and then a ship passes. Ship 1, ship 2, ship 3. So there is a primary, let's say, a primary aspect to I, which is awareness. And then there is a coloring, every now and then there is a little dance, which is the thought, the memory, me, Omer, the body, the mind, the image of my mother, my bank account, my school, my understanding, my meditation, all of these thoughts, sensations, perceptions appear. Now, the next thing to look at is that, in fact, when a thought arises within awareness, the thought is not distinct from awareness. It is not apart from awareness. It's not like you can peel the thought out of awareness. In fact, awareness is taking on the form of a thought, A, as a way of speaking, because awareness doesn't take on any form, but as a way of speaking, we say, okay, awareness is taking
impure awareness, right?
Yes, so awareness takes on the form of thought A. Then it says, I'm good enough with thought A. I'm going to hang out. Oh, here is thought B. I'm going to take on the form of thought B. So it is taking on the form of a ship. So the ocean is taking on the form of a wave. Here's a wave, another wave, another wave. So it's not, there isn't in fact two. There isn't in fact an Umer separate from consciousness, from awareness. Awareness is coloring itself as Umer. The reality of this coloring, the reality of Umer, is consciousness. That which hears, which perceives, which is consciousness. The reality of the thoughts, the perceptions, the sensations, the world, etc., is consciousness.
So you said that which hears and sees and smells. So that which is aware of all the feeling, the hearing, the smelling, that is awareness.
Yes.
But then why did the Buddha say that we are not awareness, we are not consciousness?
You know, it depends how they were using the terms, how they were speaking, what they were meaning, because even in our current times, I believe some people, I know that I think Nisargadatta was one of the teachers, the sages who use the term consciousness as referring to what I refer to as some of the manifestation of mind. So the only way I can address your question about the Buddha is in terms of depending how the language was used at the time, how his teaching was translated, who translated, what was their comprehension. And finally, the only thing I can tell you is that you can only get so much understanding from a dead sage. And I recommend for you to work with a living sage.
Right, but the thing is, he also said that there is no permanent self. Everything is not self. That is why he said consciousness cannot be ourself. But then the Thai Forest agents realized that there is a permanent self.
The term self, sometimes in some of the teaching, people use the term self as capital S and small self as, and the whole me dynamic, the world, body, mind dynamic with the small s, small self. I don't use this language much, but since you brought it up, the term self with a capital S, or the term mind with capital M, which also is used in some of the Buddhist or Zen Buddhist or other traditions, refers to the reality, the one reality, the absolute reality, the one reality, that which is beyond language, which is beyond words. So it's not that there is a bigger self. It's not that there is a self, a mega self and a micro self, or above self and lower self and a higher self or something like that. No. You have to understand one thing, Umair, that the entire scriptures, all the teachings, all of it, all the Upanishads, all the scriptures, ages back from in any tradition, are only symbolic. They're symbolic because the truth cannot be expressed in words. So they can only be alluded to via words. It's sort of pointing a direction, says, oh, this is the map. But what Krishnamurti used to say, the map is not the territory, the territory. So in the teaching, there is the map, and then there is a territory.
Right. So you said a few minutes ago that which knows, that which sees, hears, and smells is the absolute. It is the awareness. Yes. But a few minutes earlier, you also said that this knowing is not absolute pure awareness that you see in samadhi. You said that you said in deep states of samadhi, when the only thing left is the mind's essential nature, knowing, you also said that is not the absolute pure awareness because there is still an element of perceiving in it.
Yes, because there is still not an element of perceiving. There is an element of a me. So in samadhis, because that's why we use the term samadhis are states. And yes, they are states. The reason why we say they are states is because they still are experiences in time. They have a beginning and an ending. Yes. But as consciousness, the absolute, whatever word you want to use, has no beginning and no ending. So we cannot call it a samadhi. So yes, a samadhi could be a snapshot of the sky, but not the sky.
I'm not referring to the samadhi as a state. I'm referring to the awareness that is present, that is clearer. You said the cloud is gone in the samadhi.
Okay, so let me put it this way. Whenever you're having an experience of samadhi, or all is dissolved, all what remains is just samadhi state. Because the personal self-impression is not dead, there is a shadow. If you want, I am willing to say and to agree that, okay, this samadhi state, or this, not state, this moment of pure awareness is pure awareness 100%. Beautiful. Of what use is it to you? What use is it to you? You want to chase it? What is chasing?
The use is that once somebody has an experience of that samadhi, then he doesn't, like you said, he doesn't need to go out chasing scriptures or death sages. He knows in his own direct experience that this knowing is the pure awareness, and then the path kind of unfolds on its own.
Well, yes, I understand that, Omer. The thing is, I don't speak this way because there is a pointing that is more direct than that. That does not involve working so hard for a samadhi. I've worked hard for a samadhi, you know, it just was my path. But
no, then you can leave the samadhi. You can just stay with the knowing.
Actually, I take it back. I did not work hard for samadhi. That's misrepresentation of my experience. No, actually, I never worked hard. I never worked hard. I take it back. So coming back to your question, there is a more direct path to consciousness, which is the direct recognition that that which perceives in this moment is not that which is perceived. That you perceive Umer as images, as memories, as sensations, as perceptions. What is it that perceives Umer?
Awareness perceives.
Yes. Look directly in that direction, the direction of that which perceives.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say, because, like you said, look directly in a direction, and when there is being looking in that direction, what happens is sometimes this awareness presents itself completely clearly, and in that many things dissolve, like we were discussing in the Facebook chat. Yes. That we see things appear in awareness instead of the other way around. But then the other most of the day, most of the time, the rest of the day, there's no such seeing going on, and I'm back into ignorance. Well, so the time is being wasted.
No, whenever there is a recognition of I as awareness, it has an impact. It's not a non-event. It's not nothing. So the statement that I go back to ignorance or I go back to is not comprehending that any moment, any time that there is awareness of awareness, it has an impact. So, okay, so we're not aware of the impact. That's not a problem. There is an impact. Don't worry about it. Just keep returning to the reality of your experience, that which I am, that which perceives in this moment and every moment. Just go, whenever you go to it, to that which perceives, you're going directly to awareness. You're not going to Umer, because Umer is something that appears to you, whether it appears to you as a sensation or memory or whatever. And you're going directly to consciousness. And it's not Umer that is going to consciousness, because Umer as an image, excuse me, an image cannot go to consciousness, cannot perceive. So you need to understand also that that which is realizing that I am awareness is awareness itself.
Then we don't have the crossover into, the realization. We are just stuck there.
You're stuck there where?
In between awareness and ignorance. In between awareness and Umer. It's a merry-go-round.
Well,
we don't make the jump, it just doesn't happen.
It's not a merry-go-round, because any time that you recognize yourself as awareness, you are going to the source. And the more you go to the source, the more you fall in love with the source. And the more you fall in love with the source, the less you leave it.
Like that, how Nisargadatta said, you will be less interested in the worldly things and more interested in the awareness.
And the less,
still that hasn't happened.
And the less,
even after so much time, yeah.
And the less it leaves you. Now, if you say that this hasn't happened over so much time, it leads me to make two statements. One is, well, maybe what seems to be to you too much time is maybe not too much time. And the other statement is that well, sometimes we travel for a long, long time south while the ocean is north, or southeast while the ocean is southwest. So I don't know. Which the only thing I can share with you is that if you are journeying in the right direction, then there is more and more peace and love and happiness. So the road becomes more and more lighter, wider. Like when you are in the tunnel and you're walking towards a light, there is a little speck of light in the distance, but as you're walking in the right direction.
Right. So, yeah. Wait. How many times throughout the day in your practice were you identifying as awareness instead of Magdi? How many times?
You know, time, over time, loses its timeliness.
So how long did it take to get there?
Same answer to the question. You just tricked me by changing the word time with how long. Okay, Umer. There's a lot to look at here. I think it's quite a bit to look at here. Well, very lovely to be with you all, John and Umer, Isaac, George. Lovely to see you, Isaac and George and Holger. Hello, Kelly, Frank, Riyadh, and Tomer. Hello, Tomer and Shiva. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Magdi. Namaste.